Hey guys, and welcome back to another podcast at Muse Culture. It's Conic here. We're with Patrick, and we're also with Jason Hughes, who's a producer at Adhesive Games. You may remember that Adhesive brought out the Hawken game. So today we're going to be talking about Hawking and finding out what's happening with the Hawking universe. Jason, thanks very much for joining us today at the podcast.
Well, thank you very much for having us. It means a lot.
So what time is it where you are right now? You're in the States, aren't you?
In the States, we are on the West Coast in the Los Angeles area. It is 12:11 p.m. So getting ready to start thinking about lunch.
Fantastic. Well, we'll try not to keep you too long before you get to your lunch. So,
I eat at my desk. There's no time for lunch here.
No, probably not, actually, with all the cool things that are going on with Hawking right now. Can I just kick off and ask you, how long have you actually been involved in Hawking? Were you there from the start? Have you come in part way through?
I would say, in a sense, partway through. So I joined the team near the end of 2011. I think it was September 2011. So maybe been on the project about 2.5 years. And it was at that time that I joined the project that we really started ramping the game up to where it is right now. Up until that point, it had been just a super small number of team members. There were 9 at the most when I joined, and the studio and the Seattle office have grown in huge ways since then. But ultimately, I can say I was at the beginning of that. The prototype was done. Let's actually turn it into a game. So I was there sort of at the very beginning stages of really kicking it off into something special.
Okay, so you were there. Okay, when the prototype started, so you were there pretty much for when they flicked the switch and made Hawking live. What was that like at the studio when Hawking actually went live and you saw people playing it for the first time? How did that feel?
It's a little surreal. You work on a project for a long time. There isn't a lot of exposure. I think we've had, the first time we actually had anyone play it was PAX. I think it was PAX East 2012. Okay. I think it was I'm trying to think off the top of my head, when it was that we actually, when we had people actually starting to play it. So, but that was a build that we took with us. It was very isolated. We just started getting feedback, and you work on something for such a long enough time that you just hope that people like it. You hope that people have a good time because you've been so close to it. So when we actually flipped the switch, when it actually went live, people could start downloading it. It's an incredible, surreal experience, and we spent a long time just in there, playing with the fans who had been waiting to get the game, and talk to them about what their experiences were, what they're excited with, and we've just been continuing that ever since. Well, our open beta started in December of last year.
Okay, cool. So is it like that when you the game is already out, but is it like that when you release a patch? You did the Ascension, and now you've done Wreckage being the second natural map, so it's taken it away from being quite industry like. Do you get the same sort of feeling when you're actually releasing those patches as well? Is it just as exciting?
It just is. It is. But it is in a different way. It is in a different way because we now get to see the response of everyone who has been playing the game and enjoying the game, what new elements we're adding, and to see if they like it, what they what they do, what they don't. We're always listening to feedback so we can help improve the game in preparation for our official live release. And so it doesn't have quite the boom of all of a sudden you flip the switch and you have 10,000 people all, within a few minutes all trying to jump on the game. We don't have quite that. It's a little bit more of, wow, now take a look at this and what do you think? So it still is exciting, but we do updates on a pretty regular basis. So we're always running at a pretty high energy level, and always really excited to get feedback.
Sounds like you've got a right buzz going on at the studio there right now. You're about a year into Hawking, really. December 2012 was when we first started to be able to play the game. What have you and your team, what have you really learnt about the game? I mean, what do you want to change going forth in Hawking up to the when it's actually released live?
So there's a lot that we are working on. For our December date, we made the decision to put it out there in its beta state, and we still are in open beta. And there's a lot of little pieces of functionality that we're still working on. We're still working on tweaks to matchmaking. We're still working on match balancing. We're still working on making tweaks to progression. We're still working on gameplay tweaks. So we sort of have a little bit of a playground right now. And there's aspects of the game that we don't feel are set in concrete yet, that we don't feel are 100% ready to go. Like we're ready to say this is how Hawken is supposed to be, and that's what we've really needed open beta for. We've needed that feedback. We've needed other people to play. We're a really small team, so we don't have a large QA team. We don't have the ability to go out and get beta is a way for us to get testing results and to get feedback from that and to make changes on that. How we played the game in an afternoon is going to be different than a few thousand people all trying at the same time to do the same thing. So we've really embraced that and tried to make changes as we go to fix some of the issues that we've had and polish off some of the rough edges, and that's what we're continuing to do. So we're adding additional content, we're doing additional polish to keep the people who have been really interested in the game continually focused. And then we also have people who are really working on bug fixes, who are really working on some of those larger systems, like matchmaking, for example. Matchmaking is not a small system. That is a very complicated, very detailed system that impacts not only our services, but the server, but the client. It's a very big moving piece to coordinate. So that's something that takes a longer amount of time, and we need data in order to make changes. So where am I going with all of this? I don't even remember. So basically, but what I'm saying is basically that what we have in the game right now is the core of what Hawken will be when we go live. However, those systems in there, as it is right now, we're not satisfied with, and we'll continue to polish. So we sort of have an internal list of we want this, we want this, we want this. We want to feel good about all of these areas before we're ready to take the beta tag off the game, but we're getting close to that.
So it does sound like there's quite a lot of challenges still that you guys are trying to overcome with the bug fixes, and especially the matchmaking making that you've said quite a bit. For you personally, being a producer on Hawken, what are the main challenges that you get with the game? How do you overcome those?
I think something that we still teeter back and forth. It's a balance between structure and agility.
Okay.
We're a game that is out in the wild. We're a game that we have to be able to move fast and address issues that come up, make big changes, and have to do it within a reasonable amount of time. And a lot of that is emergent. A lot of that is emergent work that may just show up. It's, oh, shoot, we have to do this. But then that becomes, okay, well, what does that do to what else we're working on and what has to give? And, a lot of the guys on the team are more to, building a game as a service is something that's very different. I come from more of a console background. I've been in the industry a little over 10 years. And coming from a console space is you have that really big push. You have everything very clearly defined from the beginning what the game is, and you have X amount of months to hit that date. You have your milestones and you deliver it, and then that's it. With something as a service, it's something that's always ongoing. It's something that's always, you not only have to be developing the new stuff, but also be polishing and fixing issues that are currently live. So there's very much of a balance of, okay, how agile can we stay to address the things that we need to, and yet still get things done? Because if we aren't agile enough, we can't fix the things that are broken. But if we aren't structured enough, then we don't have any new content to bring out in 2 months.
Okay.
So that's something I think that's very interesting for this type of game. That's always an interesting balance for us.
So is it too early yet to start talking about Hawken on the consoles? I mean, at the minute Hawken, you've won 10 EA awards for it being on the PC. Do you think you can get it on the consoles? Are we going to see it on consoles? We've already seen people playing it on the Oculus Rift at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's only compatible with the PC. I'm sure you played it on Oculus. We might come to that question a little bit later on. But can we expect to see Hawken on a console? It's
something we've definitely talked about. It's the time right now for games. I mean, there's I love console launches. Like there's a buzz and an excitement about sort of the industry in general, regardless of what you're actually playing. It's just nice to see that excitement in the air. And nothing brings that like a console launch. We've talked about we've talked about being potentially on a console. A lot of us have been in the industry in a while. I certainly have friends at Microsoft. I have friends at Sony. But right now, all of our efforts, like 100% of our efforts, are completely focused on the PC version of the game. So what I'll say is a console sometime in the future is not, it's not out of the question. It's just not something that we're actively looking at because everything we have right now is working on taking that beta tag off and getting and putting out in a successful launch for the game on PC.
Okay, so talking about the consoles, and thanks for that. Which one do you lean more towards right now? Is it going to be Xbox One or PlayStation 4?
I will get both. I will end up always getting both. I am to me, PlayStation it's a little bit more straightforward. I know what they're doing. I know the hardware. To me, Microsoft, there's a little bit more of a curiosity there because of what they're doing with what they're doing differently this time, what they have with Kinect and how deeply integrated it is. And some of the games I'm looking like I want to play Dead Rising 3. I'm really curious about that. So I will end up getting both.
Okay, cool.
Maybe I'll get an Xbox first, but I don't know.
I gotta admit, looking at the consoles and something, I would love to see Hawken be something a little bit like what Halo was. It'd be Halo being exclusive to the Xbox and something like God of War being exclusive to the PlayStation. I think, shoot me if I'm wrong, everybody that's listening, but I think Hawken would work fantastically if it was just an Xbox One title. And I've got to admit, if it was, that would be one of the things that would make me go and pick up an Xbox. I'm a PlayStation man. I'm sorry. I'm getting the PlayStation on Friday when it's released here in the UK. But yeah, I would. That would be it. I would be so down the line trying to get an Xbox One if Hawken was on it. But,
good to know.
So we've touched a little bit on the consoles and such. I had mentioned about the Oculus Rift and that there is some support there for it. I know that it's quite alpha, should we say, of the support that is there for the Oculus Rift. I'm going to assume that you've played it on the Oculus Rift. I played it at Eurogamer in September here. I thought it was absolutely fantastic. We have played Hawken before. We played it in the podcasts. Anybody that wants to see us play Hawken, the links will be below. It was amazing on the Oculus Rift. So yeah, have you played it on the Oculus Rift? And what was your thoughts to playing it on the Oculus Rift?
I have played on the Rift. I am not great with it. I am actually, unfortunately, someone who gets very susceptible to motion sickness. So I, and that's even if I'm not driving the car. If I am not driving, that is it. It is over for me. And I suppose maybe that's just something that starts happening with old age. I used to be able to, I don't know, roller coasters and everything. That was usually not a problem. And now somehow apparently I'm just meant to either stay at home or drive. But there's something about Hawken that just works really, really well with what Oculus is. And for those of you, for anyone out there who hasn't had a chance to try it, they're at the shows. I know they're still just doing the development kits, but it's really worth just trying to get your hands on it and trying to get that experience because it works. It works. And when we started talking with the Oculus team, it was quite a while ago. We got really excited about what they were doing, and they're really putting forth a lot of effort. Like it's a step like this is only going to work if you really have a dedicated, very talented, a great development team behind it that is putting forth everything they can and using all their experience to do something really special. And I think that these guys are doing that. So when we've talked about them, I mean, they've been over a number of times. We've worked hand in hand with them to get the support where it is right now. It's very clear what their vision is, and Hawken was just a perfect match to put it in that space. There's a lot of things that we would still love to do with it. It already took a small team. It took quite a bit of resources to get where it is. Right now, but there's a lot of things that we would love to try, different options like moving your guns by like moving your head. There's a lot of different gameplay elements in there that we want we want to play with and get to, and try to make that a little bit more of more of an immersive experience. But if anyone hasn't had a chance to try it, I really recommend to give it a spin for a little bit. People love to boost up in the air and to be able to look down, and there's a free falling almost aspect to it that can happen with Hawken, and that is what people seem to remember the most.
Do you know, it's funny that you should mention that, actually, because while you were talking, I was thinking about my Oculus and Hawken experience when we went down to Eurogame, and I'm really sorry I can't remember the chap's name. It was either James or Joe that allowed us to get onto the Oculus Rift and play Hawken. He was saying, okay, what you need to do is you just walk to the edge of a building, okay, boost in the air, and then crash down. And there is part of me playing it on the video just absolutely freaking out because it was so amazing. It's there in your face and you can't get away from it, of how immersed into the game you actually are. I think this is going to be a game that's really going to work, that when people are talking about Oculus Rift, in a couple of years' time, it's going to be what was your first experience? What was the thing that you remember? And I'm sure more than half the people are going to be saying Hawken, because it is absolutely amazing to play on the Rift, and it's a little bit of a match made in heaven. So I'm glad that Hawken and the Oculus are out roughly about the same sort of time, because I think it's going to be an interesting period for both the companies to see where they're going. Okay, I want to ask you, because we've talked a little bit about the bug fixes that you've had, the matchmaking when it's going live, and the fact of would you get it onto console or not. So it sounds like you're really stuck into everything that's going on at the moment with Hawken. So for you personally, what have been the moments that have stood out to you the most, other than the launch we've talked about, and you've explained how exciting that is? What have you currently been working on with Hawken that it just stands out to you and you think, yeah, that's my moment?
I think one of the, let's see, I mean, we've talked about the launch. I would say probably one of the biggest, oh yes, moments for me, but I mentioned it was PAX East, that demo we did at PAX East, because when people actually enjoyed it and were able to talk to me about it afterwards, that really solidified that, okay, yes, this is something that people are really people really have interest in. Because up until that time, people have only seen the video. They had only seen the videos on YouTube that had been put out. They only saw those trailers, the stuff that had been cut together. That's it. No one actually had any hands-on time. So once people actually got their hands on it, had a good time, I brought forms for feedback so people could write what they wanted, and then they were free to come talk to me afterwards. Like, I wanted to hear what they thought. So that was a real positive moment. I think also the next step out beyond launch, Ascension was a big update for us, but Invasion was also a really big update for us, and that was our last one, and that was when we introduced co-op. Up until now, everything has been player versus player. It's been a fairly competitive scene, but adding something cooperative in there is really beneficial to bring in new people to the game and give them more things to do with their friends that aren't necessarily competitive based. Maybe it's just taking a break from shooting other people, but there's an element of the cooperativeness where, I don't know, there's something about it with Hawken that awakens. It's a different experience. And we've had an AI engineer working on our AI. He's been doing a fantastic job. And this is just like the first part of what's coming with co-op. So I think even recently, that release of co-op, we get more excitement here at the studio when we're, prototyping something new or trying a new co-op map, or, when we're really sort of building out some of the features of that gets more buzz going in the studio than almost anything else that we're doing at the moment. So that, to me, that first time when we tried it, and we had people cheering in the office, and so you get that kind of excitement going, you're on the right track. So even recently, internally, seeing that response from people, it's like, okay, yes, this was a good decision to move forward with this, and we need to do more of it.
Fantastic. It sounds a little bit like when we've been playing on Hawken, we were trying to do a podcast, and you know what, there's just no time to talk or think. You're just too busy, and they're going, oh, like you were saying, you can't have a conversation while you're playing Hawken. And the co-op, I've not had a chance to try that out. I know that we're going to be doing another podcast with Hawken, so hopefully maybe we can get you involved in that and have a co-op game with you, because I really can't wait to try that out. I know that there's some new mechs in the patches that you've been doing, but can you tell me what your favorite mech is and why?
I tend to be Let's see. I've been playing the Berserker a lot lately. I started off much more of like a sharpshooter kind of person. And then we did the Reaper, and the Reaper was my favorite. And then I sort of moved on to the Berserker. I like staying a little bit small lately. I like getting around the map. I do okay with damage. I don't do really well in siege because I don't carry a lot of EU, but I like being a pest. I like sort of getting in there, like causing a problem and making people upset and then running away. So I would say that's my favorite so far, with the exception of one that we're working on a number of mechs. We have a new heavy that we're a C class that we're working on, which is pretty unusual, and that is a little bit in the running for me. That might take the crown, but we'll see.
Sounds cool. You sound a little bit actually like Patrick. I know that there is a Patrick mech in there, but I mean our Patrick at Muse Culture. You sound a little bit like him of when we're playing. He likes to cause a lot of trouble. He hides. He's sneaky, and I end up running around all over the place. And it's like one shot, and I'm dead. I don't even have enough time to repair my mech because he's just hiding around a corner somewhere. So you two would probably get on really well, just at the top of a map or something like that. Can you tell me, are there any Easter eggs? We asked this question to Mark Long when we did a podcast with him a while ago. Mark Long, for anybody who doesn't know, being the CEO of Media Entertainment, and he also wrote the Rubicon graphic novel, which you can have a read about on our website. But I asked him, were there any Easter eggs in Hawken that we weren't necessarily aware of? And he mentioned a few. Is there any Easter eggs that you may yourself have put in, or with your team, that we might not know that we need to look out for?
If you have an Oculus.
I've got an Oculus.
There's an Easter egg. If you have an Oculus, I'll leave it at that. And there's an Easter egg in Last Eco, the actual map itself. There's an Easter egg that you can hear both with audio and visually if you know what to look for. So there are two that immediately come to mind. So especially the Oculus one is pretty easy to see, but it's only you can only see it if you have one.
Okay, well, I'm going to make sure that I plug in my Oculus after we've had this conversation and have a look out for that. You're not giving me much to go on there, so I could be there all night trying to figure this out, trying to figure out what it could be, but it will give me something. It'll give me something to do. I did mention previously that we would be having a go on the co-op. Are you game sometime to come and play on Muse Culture's team?
Absolutely.
Fantastic. That'd be really great to catch up with you and do that. There's another thing, really. Hawken, when you're talking, I'm listening to you talking about the last Eco and Wreckage and, like say, the new Patrick mech and Predator and such. It seems like Hawken really does have such a vast and rich storyline to it. Again, the graphic novel has been out, which I got to read recently. I'm not going to give too much away for that. People, you really do need to read it. It's done by a few different artists. It's very good to read. But yeah, the storyline is quite rich to Hawken. So are you hoping to expand a bit more on that? I know that you are going to bring out some more updates next year, but especially after you've gone live, do you think that you will be able to expand on the rich storyline to it?
I certainly hope so. We have, being a multiplayer game, when I started, we had all kinds of maps. We had all kinds of environments. There were more that existed than what we have right now. We've stopped work on those and create. For example, there was a forest map. There was a forest map way back, so that was something that had always been part of the Hawken universe. But when it came time to actually put it out, we ended up going a little bit of a different direction and created something new. So a lot of what people may be seeing in the game, or what's coming out, for example, like Wreckage, it may look new, but I think those who have been following the game and following some of the concept art, there's the theme that continues all the way through. Some of the concept art that I've seen from Kang, who's our creative director and is responsible for a good percentage of the concept art and the overall look of the game. You have stuff that's like the area of Wreckage, which is kind of swampy, which is kind of overgrown. Like that is in concept art that's been there for years. So as long as people are interested in Hawken, we have stuff that we can give them. And once we go live and we're able to, to continue to support and do cool stuff, there are things that we can explore with the game. There are things that we can explore outside of the game. And thank you for, for mentioning the graphic novel. I highly recommend if anyone has that interest in Hawken. It's Hawken Genesis it's good stuff. It's good to read and gives you some insight into what we're thinking.
Well, I'm sure we can throw on a competition on the website. I think we've got a couple of them left over from a competition we did previously, so we'll definitely get a competition going up for that. I'm hogging quite a lot of your time here, Patrick. I nearly forgot about you. I'm really sorry because I've been
hello.
busy hogging time. Hey, is there anything
I've been too busy enjoying. Yeah, I've been too busy enjoying your conversation. It's been really interesting about how you're talking about you and the team working on the different challenges you had. I wanted to know that there's a lot of fans out there for Hawken at the moment, some younger people as well playing the game. And what advice would you give them about getting into the games industry and like games development and things like that?
Games development. Let's see. What advice would I give? One, it's really important to stay persistent. Nothing is ever going to just all of a sudden show up at your door or fall into your lap. So what I recommend is asking yourself the question, what do you like about games? What do you like about games and what do you actually want to do? Game teams are made up of, they can be 10 people, they can be 5 people, they can be 100 people. And everyone has a different specialty and everyone wants to focus on one particular thing. So find out what it is that you like about games. Identify that and focus on that. If you have the ability to start doing modifications, if you have the ability to get with some friends and start doing some mods, and actually being able to use the tools that are out there that are available, go to Epic's site, download UDN, and actually just start building. The more you have prototyped, the more you can show that you know what's fun and can deliver on what's fun, the more opportunities you have. So don't give up. Figure out what you like to do and practice on what it is that you like to do, and work with people that you love working with.
Well, there you go, guys. There's good advice there from Jason that's already working in the industry. I know that we're probably running out of time now, so there's something that I really want to ask you before we let you go. Hawken is quite a transmedia title, so we've seen it in a graphic novel, and we've got a game for Hawken. So I've heard that there may be a movie featuring Hawken. Will you be involved in this, and is there anything that you can tell us about the movie?
There's nothing that I can share, and that's not because of anything is a secret. It is mostly because 110% of my life right now is pretty much focused on the game itself. So I know that I know the conversations are still, I know the conversations are there. I had a chance to, Comic-Con? I had a chance to meet with the potential director on the title. So, we'll be involved in that from a creative standpoint and being able to give feedback because the IP and the world of Hawken is really important. But for now, almost all of my focuses are, let's get this game done. Let's get this game looking great, playing great, and make sure people have a good time. That, to me, is my number one priority.
Sounds fantastic. It's been actually really good talking to you. I appreciate you taking the time to come over and have a chat with us guys at Muse Culture. Just as a finishing, for the people that are listening into this, if you've not had the chance yet to play Hawken, you should do. And you need to pop over to playhawken.com. Experience it on the Oculus Rift. If you can check their website at oculusvr.com. You can also read the interviews that we've done with Mark Long, again, who's the CEO of Meteor Entertainment. We've also interviewed Nate Mitchell from Oculus Rift and Kang Lee, who is the CEO of Adhesive Games. If you want to check out any of our content, you can do that on museculture.net. If there's anybody that you would like us to interview, you can send us an email at podcast@museculture.net. Again, thank you very much for your time, Jason. We're going to let you get back to it, and we hope to catch up with you soon, especially to play co-op of Hawken.
Thank you very much. It was a true pleasure. I'm really glad to have had the opportunity to speak with you fine gentlemen, and I wish you the best in this holiday season.
Thank you very much. Guys, this is Conic and Patrick from Muse Culture, and until next time, we're signing out.